Okay. Well, we're here with Emily Egan, and she was just on the Stossel show, and so we want to ask her some questions about what is socialism?
Oh. Well, I think that the actual definition of socialism is something that many people don't know. The actual definition of socialism is some sort of government ownership of the means of production. Unless you're an anarchist, then it's social ownership of the means of production. But most people today, especially young people, don't know that that's what socialism means. For young people today, they don't think about socialism in terms of the Soviet Union. They think of it in terms of Scandinavia. And Scandinavia isn't even socialist. They are socialistic in that they have larger social welfare states. You know, the government runs the healthcare system and so forth, but they're not actually socialist.
I agree with everything you said. So, are you against socialism?
Me personally,
Yes.
I don't think it's a wise economic system. I think that everyone is better off. The poor and the rich and the middle class are lifted up more when we have markets allocating goods and resources, because information is able to flow in a more efficient way. When we have a centralized bureaucratic force, like with socialism, planning our society, planning our economy, there's a few set of consequences that tend to go with that, which are long lines, shortages, lower quality goods and services, and less innovation. I care a lot about all of those things. I don't want people to have to wait in a long line if they need a medically important surgery and their life's on the line. I want us to have technological innovation. I want us to cure cancer. I want us to cure AIDS. And those things are less likely to be achieved under a socialistic system. It's more likely to be achieved when you have a free market system.
So we have a candidate now, Bernie Sanders, who's promising wholesale redistribution of wealth. So let's talk a little bit about why your preference is correct and what is happening in essence. In essence, in socialism, the government is substituting the people's judgment for its judgment. In other words, the government will decide how things are invested, how they will be distributed, as opposed to a system of a free market system where the principle is mutual consent based on mutually perceived self-interest. So there are many people that have argued that the capitalist system, the one that's based on mutual consent and mutually perceived self-interest, is really the only moral system, because the socialist government is forcing people to do things against their judgment. In other words, they're using force against people that haven't violated anybody's rights. What do you think about that dissertation?
So some people don't share your moral view. Some people are okay with the government forcing people to do what they think is in their own best interest. And I think that's what often happens with socialism. That people who tend to support that type of system think that they know better what someone needs and that they believe that government can provide it. But I also think there's something they're overlooking, which is something called the knowledge problem. Can government solve these problems? Does government have the necessary knowledge and information to actually provide you with what you need? In fact, free market economies do more to provide people, poor people, rich people, middle income people, with the things that they need: housing, healthcare, and education, and food. Those are things that can be provided by the private marketplace. Government can play some sort of role to help ensure that people, when they hit hard times, have somewhere to turn. But ultimately, at the end of the day, free market systems are what do that and what provide that.
So you think some people actually like to be forced to do things and don't like to be able to follow their own judgment?
I personally don't share that view, but I hear it all the time. In fact, I had a conversation with someone yesterday who was saying he felt that it would be better to have lower quality education overall, as long as it ensured that no one was taught creationism in their school. So for him, having the federal government control the educational system, having government run education, even if it meant lower quality of services, which we see right now, the education system for K through 12 in the United States is quite poor, in my opinion, and I think that's because it's run by the government completely. He would prefer that than to allow market forces and decentralization if it could possibly result in some kids learning creationism in their school.
Yeah, he's okay with forcing other people to do things they don't want to do. But my question was, does he like his own life to be forced, or does he like to follow his own judgment?
Oh no, no. Everyone likes to do what they want to do, but some people feel like they know better what other people should do.
That's a different issue. That's substituting their judgment for other people's judgment. So I think
They
you
can
hit
take
on. I think you hit on the two main problems with welfare state or socialism, which are the government bureaucrats. Even if they're angels, they don't have the knowledge to know what goods and services people are willing to purchase at what prices.
Exactly. This is what happened in the Soviet Union, and it's a reason why we should remember what happened there, is that government bureaucrats had to decide how much to produce of each thing, like how many forks to produce, how many knives to produce, where to produce them, where to send them, how much to charge, and they're not very good at that, and that's why there was often rationing and shortages and long lines that we came to associate with the Soviet Union.
Absolutely. And the other reason is that the bureaucrats are not incentivized to make the right choice, so they care less than the people that are making the decisions in a free market. They really know that it's important to make the right decision, because if they make the wrong decision, they lose their money.
That's absolutely correct, and we can't forget about incentives. Incentives are critical here. Incentives help give us more motivation to try a little bit harder, to find a better solution, to find a better method, and that's what drives innovation.
Okay, Ms. Egan, it was a great interview. We got everything straightened out.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.